Good morning, good morning, everybody. How y'all? Oh my goodness gracious. Hold on, y'all. How are y'all doing on today? I got a message for the people, and I'm gonna do it in order this time. I don't want no issues like I had last time from Tuck. Happy Father's Day to my husband. Happy Father's Day. And happy Father's Day to my father, my brother, and my family member, and to all of you men out there in the world. Happy Father's Day. So, we have a father on today. Y'all see the title of the show: Two Sides of the Same Coin. Two sides of the same coin. So, we're about to talk about it, y'all. We are about to talk about it, but before we get started, we are going to go ahead and let y'all, for those that are brand new, let y'all see what the Couples Lounge is all about. You are now tuned in to the Couples Lounge show.
It's live, it's real, it's entertaining.
That morning show telling you what somebody should have told you about love, marriage, and relationships. Ain't nobody doing it like us.
Because they ain't us.
New episodes every Saturday, giving you something to talk about. All right. I'm back. And we ain't gonna be playing no music no more because Facebook done got a little bit more serious about the music and stuff. Good morning, PI. Good morning for everybody that's joined in. Look here, I need the men in the building. Definitely, if you have kids with a woman outside of your current relationship. And the reason that I'm asking for the men to chime in today, because I really want the women to get an understanding of what the experience is like of being a father, and then being a father with a woman who is not showing up as her best self, for lack of better words, because she withhold the child or whatever the case may be around the child. Sometimes women use the kids as pawns. Sometimes the women use the kids to get back at the man. So, and then you have some amazing women out here that is doing this co-parenting thing amazingly. Like, she understands her child comes first. And so I just need all of y'all to be ready to chime in. And so I'm going to introduce to some and reintroduce to others Mr. Richard Ray. Richard is going to be my father that is on today. And I'm going to give y'all a little bit of a background or backstory about Richard. He's from the Funk. And for those that are not in the DFW area, he's from Fort Worth, Texas. He has two amazing kids that he says is going to change the world. You better prophesy over them babies.
I have to.
He says through his life experiences, just like everyone else with doubt, trouble, and struggles, I've come to love who I am and I am growing to be. What's up, Precious? He has a show titled Richard Ray Uncensored. Y'all make sure y'all follow that podcast, Richard Ray Uncensored. And he says that he uses it to help him stand in his truth and inspires him. So as he inspires himself, he inspires you all as well through his topics and the things that he discusses. And he realizes that he's not alone in this journey. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So he's legendary bound, baby. Y'all better get at him where he at. He gonna be at a point where he gonna be untouchable. What's up, Richard? How you doing on today?
Hey, I'm good. You got me over here dying laughing. I truly appreciate the love, Candace. I can tell you one thing: you good at building people up, because I'm over here with my eyes closed. I'm like, Lord,
yeah,
use
receive all that.
Yes.
Yes. Well, y'all, we are about to have a conversation about fatherhood. Again, for those that are just joining in, you were tuned into the Couples Lounge show where we're talking about two sides of a same coin. And the reason that I wanted to speak to Richard about this is because we were on his podcast before, and he made mention of, his son was up at the studio, and he also was speaking about not having, he desires to have the same type of relationship with his, you have a daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
With his daughter, but the opportunity is not there just because the co-parenting is different. Good morning, Chris. And y'all know what y'all do. If you haven't shared out, go ahead and share the video.
Absolutely. Make sure y'all tag Richie Ray Uncensored in that thing too.
Absolutely. Plug it. So,
Absolutely.
Richard, explain to me, and Chris, if you have kids, since you're the first dude that I see on here, make sure that y'all do what y'all do as a Couples Lounge family, and make sure that y'all are posting. And yes, we still have a secret word of the day, and that person that types it first, you will win you a $100 gift card to a restaurant.
Ooh.
And TD is on her too. TD is a very active supporter of the Couples Lounge as well. So, Richard, talk to me about fatherhood. Well, first of all, what does fatherhood mean to you?
Honestly, fatherhood means absolutely everything to me. I think it's one of the greatest roles that any man can play. Being able to um, pass on what not only that you've been taught, but what you went to go discover for yourself, in order to be able to impact and raise children in a different way in which I was raised, and being able to watch them develop and grow into their own particular and precious individuals, to eventually lead their own lives. But good news is, at this point, the situation between that's involving my daughter has actually gotten better since the last time we talked.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. So, but fatherhood to me means patience. Um, Not only patience, but strength, faith, empowerment, growth, and being a shepherd. You know, that's pretty much what that's pretty much what it means to me.
So let me ask you. I look. I got two things in my head. I want to ask you. Can you explain to the audience what was the shift? Because when we originally talked, it was some tension there where you couldn't really
Yeah,
show up for your daughter like you desired.
yeah.
So what was the shift, and how did that come about? And I really want this to be heard to those of us that are co-parenting right now. So what was the shift?
Really, it was me. I had been going through a journey. I'm still on that journey, and I talked to my goddad. My goddad said, "Hey, son, you need to learn patience."
Mm,
And I was like, okay. And during my journey, what I had to realize is the fact that everybody isn't me, and I can't handle everybody the exact same way. And so I had to humble myself in regards to the whole situation. Not the fact that I wasn't humbled, but there's a different level to everything,
mm-hmm.
and I had to reach a level of humility in myself in order to be able to say, "Hey, no matter what's said at this point, you have to take you have to take control of your response and how you interact in order to get the best result." And so
Mm-hmm.
essentially, what ended up happening was, I messaged my daughter's mom. I was like, "Hey, we need to talk." I said, "Call me or text me." She's like, "Well, you can text me." I'm like, "Okay, cool," because at this point she hadn't been responding to my text messages or phone calls this whole time. But something was different. And honestly, whether you believe in the universe or you believe in God or whatever spiritual deity you believe in, For me personally, I believe in God, but at this point in my pursuit of patience, um, I, I had to sit still and be like, how can I handle this situation? And so I just had faith. And when I said she responded to me, I'm like, okay, I'm getting somewhere now. Let's
Right,
go.
right,
You know
right,
what I'm saying?
right. The door is opening right here.
Hey, the doors are open and let the floodgates follow.
Yeah.
And so essentially, after communicating with her, it was, of course, we both have our sides of how things happened,
Right.
right?
Absolutely.
And between the both sides, somewhere in there is the truth, regardless of if it's yours, if it's hers, or if it's a mixture of both,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so at this point, we were going back and forth, playing this little petty blame game or whatever. I'm like, hey, listen, we go through the same repetitive cycle all the time, and it's time to change.
Mm.
I
Mm-hmm.
said we can't keep going back and forth about who did this, who did that, who didn't do this, who didn't do that. And for me, I had to. What had to happen as well was the fact that I had to take accountability for my role in the situation, the multiple roles in the well, one role, but multiple situations within us being together or not being together and things like that. And I just needed to make it apparent to her because what dawned on me was the fact that to me she wasn't showing up in a particular manner in which I needed her to show up
Mm-hmm.
in regards to calling me, letting me know what my daughter got going on for school. Because when I would call you, I get no answer. Trying to communicate between family members and things like that. But then,
Oh, wait. Sorry.
oh man, Candace,
No, it's
she
just that one moment my hand hit the let me get the mouse off of that. There we go.
no, you good. But the so what had happened was is the fact that no matter whose role it is or whose fault it is, as a man, the world is always going to see you as, no matter where you fall in the world, every woman, every human being in your life and in the world is going to view you as a leader, regardless of if they respect you or if they don't respect you. And so at that point, what happens is I had to sit back and let her just throw it all at me. And I'm like, okay, only thing I could go back and forth. I could go back and forth, but at the end of the day, only thing I could say is, okay.
And I,
Uh,
I, I have to, and I have to say something because you're saying so much good stuff right now, and my mind is going 100 miles an hour right now because I'm like, oh, that's a good one. Oh, now I had that's why I didn't hit you off the screen because I'm like, let me get my paper because I'm gonna be done miss something that he's saying. That is so powerful, and I want to stop and acknowledge that part where you saying as the man, the world still looks at us as leaders. So regardless if y'all are together or not together, fathers, men, you can interrupt the pattern that is going on with you and your child's mother, even if you feel like, well, we ain't together no more. She still holds you in a certain way, in a certain position, because if she didn't, y'all wouldn't have the tension that y'all have. She still looks at you a certain way. And I love how you said that accountability piece. This is another nugget for those men that are having like a breakdown with their child's mother. I'm trying to prevent saying baby mama. Child's mother is sometimes all she needs to hear is the accountability piece of y'all's relationship not working out, or your accountability and your role in it. Sometimes she just need to hear I'm sorry, because the truth of the matter is, yeah, she probably still holding on to what happened between y'all, which is affecting how she allows you to parent your child. But if you could just take that accountability or just say, you know, forgive me that we didn't work out. Forgive me for whatever happened. And not even looking at yourself as, man, I ain't doing that. The bottom line is putting, if this is what's going to be in the best interest of my child, I'm willing to do it. So, Richard, I want to say, I applaud you for taking the accountability to saying, let me see my role in it. Let me look at where I can be patient, where I can be still, because it all starts with us. You, when I say us, you individually, you can blame the other person all you want.
Absolutely, yeah.
At any moment, you can shift how you show up.
Absolutely.
Shift how you show up. So tell me, what have you learned about yourself? No, let me ask you this. You mentioned a few minutes ago you want to give your kids what you didn't get. What would that be?
Correct.
What is something that you know you didn't get as a child that you now instill into your kids?
For me, what I instill in my kids is protection. One of the things that I don't feel like I received as a child was protection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, Listening. I like to sit down and listen to my children and just really have a conversation with them to understand who they are, because although I am, although I do lead them, they are still individuals, right? What happens is a shepherd is still a shepherd. However, that shepherd will never understand what it is to be the sheep, right? The because once you there's a very distinct there's a very distinct um there's a very distinct level of protection and guidance and vision that you have to have, that a shepherd has to have in order to be able to lead the sheep, to protect the sheep, to 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 make sure the sheep are going the way in which they need to go in order to reach the destination in which they are meant to reach. And as my kid's shepherd, I I have to sit back and understand that, hey, I understand what it is to be a kid, but I don't understand what it is to be you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that as a child, I didn't feel protected. I didn't feel listened to. I didn't feel valued.
Mm-hmm.
And um and 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 those are traits and things that I love to show my kids that they have in me, because although I am your father, I am still a person that you can come and talk to
Mm-hmm.
about whatever it is that you have going on, whether you're, because my kids are 8 and 9 right now, right? And
Okay.
as much as we want to say kids don't go through anything,
They
I would
absolutely do.
I would imagine that our kids now go through way more than what we went through as children, because now you got people going into these schools shooting them up. You got
Mm-hmm.
people kidnapping these kids. Like it's different nowadays. So you have to take out the time to, and I have to. Parents have to take out the time to talk to their children and understand their kids, because when I was younger, shoot, me and my partners could go. We could go fix up a couple bikes. You know what I'm saying? Our bikes were our cars. We washing them. We taking the chains out, cleaning them. And guess you know what I'm saying. And then guess what we
Yeah.
doing? We riding all around the city until night. I'm talking about riding around the
Yeah,
city at
oh my
like
God. I was just talking to me and my brothers was just talking about that. Like, we used to be everywhere on our bikes, all across 10, 15 minutes away from the crib, but we done rode our
hey,
bikes,
for real.
over there. So yeah, it's definitely a different type of freedom. I want you to talk to from the perspective of that kid. And this, y'all parents, really, really listen up, because although we have experienced it, sometimes we're not in tune and in touch with it. And I think Richard is. For you, when it came to not being heard, not feeling protected, how did that impact you as a young black male? Just as a young black kid, or as a kid, period. Not being heard by your parent, not being protected by your parent. Was your father in your life growing up?
No. Uh-uh.
Okay. So
But he
talk to
is
us
now.
about that.
My father is in my life now, but
Okay.
there is, I love that man, and there ain't nothing anybody can do or say. If my daddy called me right now and say, "Son, I need you," I'm pulling up. You hear me?
Mm.
I'm driving four.
Forgiveness.
Hey, I'm driving 4 hours to Houston right off rip, and I
Mm-hmm.
instead of being 4 hours, I'm gonna make it into a 3 hour. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
But And by the way, if my pops is listening, happy Father's Day, man. I do love you. I truly do.
Okay.
Um,
Happy
uh,
Father's Day, pops.
but so come as a child, everything that I went through, it was painful. Hmm. And it was painful. When I say running away, when I say wanted to take my own life,
Mm,
wanting to wanting to run away from home because I felt like nobody cared or wanted to listen.
mm-hmm.
Um, not feeling valued because uh, when somebody would say they would do something, they'd never do it.
Yeah.
Looking forward to somebody coming to pick me up when they say they would come and pick me up and not doing it. Um, and then not only that, one of what's crazy is one of my old middle school friends. I just messaged her the other day because I was thinking about this situation. I was going to do something real stupid, and I told her about it. She told my teacher, my choir teacher, and my choir teacher came to pull me out of out of science class. I think I was in seventh grade.
Covering.
Yeah, and that changed my life because I was going to do something crucial, and if I did, I wouldn't be here right now.
Yeah.
I at middle school, I probably would have been in somebody's prison until I died.
And see that
That's
goes back to what you just said, is that some people don't realize that kids are having internal experiences. Just because you're a kid don't mean that you're not going through nothing, that you're not seeing that when a parent doesn't show up, that it doesn't affect you all. If it nothing else y'all get out of this, I really want y'all to hear what we're saying and trying to get an understanding first of your kids. We always secure the kids first, really about your kids, and then about us as adults. And so hearing you share your experiences as a young man, and not feeling people cared about you, and just you even having the suicidal thoughts and this, that, and the other, and people saying that they're going to do something and not do anything. And what I also heard you say is that you've turned that around and realized, what I didn't get, I'm going to give to my
absolutely,
kids because I
absolutely,
understand it.
yeah.
How
And
did you get to a place of not having a relationship with your dad to now having a relationship with him? What had to happen there?
um, my son,
Mm,
to be perfectly honest, um, so the situation with my daughter, that situation had been going on for the longest. My daughter's actually older than my son.
okay.
Um, but what triggered it was the fact that one night I was laying on my son's mom's floor one night, uh, and something came over me. I called my mama, and I was just like, "Mom, what you say his name was?" I said, "What?
How
What
old
do you
were
know?"
you?
I was 20 something. I had to
Okay.
be like 25
So even at
somewhere
25,
there.
you didn't even know your father's name.
No, no, I knew his name,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but I knew his name, but I forgot his name. So, but
Okay.
when she had because growing up, I was like, I don't need to know who he is because he didn't care enough to be around,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
right? But one thing I wanted to know, something that was deep within me was like I wanted to know who this side of the family was so I can know the entire me, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and and so when my son was born, I had that conversation with my mom, and I started a white page trial for $1. And I was like, okay, mom, what you say his name was? Boom, William Gibbs. Boom, okay, bet. Where you know where is his last known location for you that you knew he was? She
Yeah.
said, I think Orange, Texas. I'm like, all right, bet. So I went through the white pages and online. I was like, okay. search William Gibbs, Orange, Texas. Boom. A couple different names popped up, and but one stuck out to me. I don't remember really why it stuck out to me.
Holy Spirit.
Uh, yeah, that's it. And so what ended up happening is I actually called that number that was on there, and it actually ended up being my dad's ex-wife.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then my dad's ex-wife put me in contact with my sister. And
Okay.
then my sister gave me my dad's phone number. And then she also called. And so my sister was like, "Oh, a big brother. Oh my, I thought I was," because what happened was my dad also has another daughter here,
Okay.
that I have actually yet to meet. But I thought I just had an older sister, but now I got an older brother. Boom, 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 boom. And so what ended up happening was, I called him. I said, "Hey, man, my name is Richard Gibbs. My mother is Carolyn Thomas. I'm calling this number because I was told that William Gibbs is my father." And I tell you, to give me a call back when you can. Boom. A couple of days passed, and I called again. I'm like, "Hey, listen." I said, "Man, I'm gonna be honest with you." I said, "I just want to know who you are. There's nothing I need from you. Honestly, there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing that you can do for me at this point. I'm
Mm-hmm.
grown.
Yeah.
But I just, I would like to meet you." And so essentially, what ended up happening was he called me, um, and we actually had a conversation. We had a conversation for about a week before I actually met him. I actually met him the weekend that the Patriots played the Atlanta Falcons in Houston,
Mm-hmm.
and so me and my son's mom wasn't seeing eye to eye at this point, but it never stopped me from seeing my son. Me and her wasn't saying, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to Houston." She's like, "Oh, it's convenient how you going to Houston during the Super Bowl weekend or whatever." I'm like, "Hey, it is what it is." But one thing I did tell him, I said, "Hey, man, um, I'm I'm not angry. I'm not angry at you at all, because and hopefully what I'm about to say can not only help people understand, um, kids now, but I want people to understand that it's okay as an adult, to go have this conversation, uh, because
Absolutely.
because uh,
Absolutely.
because even as an adult, we still suffer from those traumas that our parents, not only our parents, but the role models that we looked up to inflicted upon us, whether they were intentional or unintentional. The reality of it is, even as a grown man or a grown woman, you have to let go of what it is that caused you pain, when that person wasn't around. Because to be honest, the only person that's feeling it is you, and it's not affecting anybody else but you. It's not affecting anybody else's health but you. But you got to realize that that person that wasn't around, you don't know why they wasn't around, and even if you did know why they wasn't around, you don't understand their pain because you were not in their footsteps when they were taking their journey. So I
Oh my
say this.
God. Wait, that right there, soak that up, y'all. I know he just dropped, I won't even say a nugget. He just dropped a boulder on on you. And I hope that you really, really heard what he said, the conversation that because no matter how much you try to say, oh, I don't need that person, or they don't matter to me, they would you can say that at your mouth, but in your soul, when it's your parent, it hits differently. And yeah, you may not need them for anything materialistic, but there's that piece, that love piece that just needs to be filled. And sometimes just
Absolutely.
a conversation will handle that. Just let me hear your side. That's another thing that's really powerful, because I working with kids, the kids would always put the blame on that absent parent. And I'm thinking in
Mhm.
my head, because I know the dynamics of relationships, is you don't even realize that your mother may just be it's not that your father don't want to be there. The mother may be preventing them from being there. And all this time you're thinking, my daddy don't love me, my daddy don't want it. But you don't know behind the scenes your daddy fighting to see you, fighting with your mama, fighting with her family, everybody, just to see you. And so to have that conversation with your dad and just hear where they were and maybe they wasn't fighting for you, but it has to be something going on within a person for them not to be present for their child. Good, bad,
Absolutely.
however you want it. For
Absolutely.
you not to show up for your kid, it's
Absolutely.
something personally going on. And so I kind of want to, I want to ask you this, Richard. It's something you said earlier. When it comes to parenting, men and women parent differently.
Absolutely.
Have you had a struggle with your kids' parents understanding how you parent as a man? And I would like for you to speak to the women and just help us understand that y'all don't really parent like we parent, and what's the
Absolutely.
benefit of how a man parents?
Well, so yes, I like when me and my son's mom was living together. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And the reasoning is because what women have to realize is the fact that women provide one thing and men provide another,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, uh, the natural nature of a woman is to provide. It not provide. Well, yeah, provide in the sense of um uh their motherly love, their
Mm-hmm.
nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
A mother is going to protect. You ever see lions? You ever see lions in the I say jungle, but they don't live in the
Pretty
jungle,
much
but in the
any
plains.
mama animal.
Exactly any mama animal, right? A mother lion, a mother koala bear, a mother grasshopper, whatever. What's that? Uh, I forgot what the little bug was, but a woman in a group, not only a woman, but a group of a lioness will attack a lion in the
Mm,
protection of not only themselves but also their children,
yeah.
right? And the thing is, like parents, we bump heads because we don't really listen to each other when it comes down to the reasoning behind why they do what they do. And but a lot of the time, a lot of parents don't even understand the reason why they do what they do. They'll say, "Oh, my mama
Mm,
did this, my daddy did that," but the reality of it is the fact that, listen, women, you come with the emotions, you come with the nurturing aspect, you come with the passion and the understanding. But with the men, we come with the logic. We come with the action first. We come with the solution. We come with ready to go to war to change the situation because this is what you as a woman want us to do. But we as men, we have to slow down. We have to slow down in order to be able to say, hey, hmm, 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 okay, this is what I need to do. But what men don't understand is the fact that although this is what women need you to do and want you to do, because I listen to Eric Thomas a lot, right? I probably listen to Eric Thomas, hip hop preacher, like 6 times a day. You feel
mm-hmm.
me? And he was like, you know what? Me and my wife, I try not to get on my wife's nerves because she has MS, and I know when I get on the nerves, I'm literally getting on her nerves. You know what I'm saying? And um, and
Y'all get
so
on my nerves just a little bit. Just a little bit.
but what he said is the fact that how our relationship changed and the way that it got to where it is now was the fact that when I was moving before, I moved how I wanted to move. But
That's
one
good.
but what I had to do was I had to at some point move in the aspect in which she wanted to move.
Mm-hmm.
Right? As men, as leaders, we can get one track minded and go and be a bull rushing towards the red flag. And the only thing that matters is me grabbing the situation and flipping it all the way around and hurting it and breaking it apart and hopefully by the time I'm done with the situation, it's limping away and I've become victorious. And now I'm the bull that's just sitting there with my nostrils flared out, like, come and try me again if you really want to, type of a
Mm-hmm.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like, again, to go back to the original question in regards to have I ever ran into, absolutely. It's just the fact that what wasn't happening is the fact that we wasn't communicating properly. and we were going through some financial situations as well. And what women have to realize as well is the fact that, like, no matter how much of a situation, financial situation that you are going through, just because you're with somebody doesn't mean that you're not going to struggle. People use this phrase, "I can struggle all on my own." You surely can, but you'll struggle a whole lot longer most of the time. But once you stop and pause and really get an understanding of who the other person is and really start fighting together instead of against each other, because that's what we tend to do as parents.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We fight against each other because we have yet to understand each other. And the
Mm.
reason why we have yet to
Mm-hmm.
understand each other is because we have so many different people in our ears saying, "Hey, ooh, girl, I won't do this. I won't do that. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Hey, my dude, I won't do this. I won't do that." But the world that y'all are in, these individuals are only a piece of. But your decision is like the sun, and the decisions that you make are like the sun and the moon, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
the
Because they both
and
are needed. The sun and the
they
moon. If y'all didn't pick that up, they're both needed.
absolutely needed,
They're
and not
both
only
needed.
are they needed, but the sun sets a different temperature than the moon.
Absolutely.
The moon has a different effect on the earth than the sun does,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
If the moon was destroyed, there'd be tidal waves,
Yes, yes,
right?
yes.
If the sun was destroyed, we'd be frozen over,
Yes.
right? So either which way, without one or the other, mm, without one or the other, right? You fail somewhere, and you are causing destruction.
Mm. Within those kids. I, yes.
Come on
Yes.
now.
You are causing destruction within your kids. Your kids need both of you all to show up with what you bring to the table. And
Correct.
wives, women, girlfriends, mothers, he brings something different. I'm talking about the father than what you bring. So when you try to
Mm,
nullify, void out how he parents, that kid will be missing something, because men do everything that he just said. That is what men bring to the table. Now, of course, I guess I got to give this disclaimer. I'm not talking about a father that is abusive, that it
mm-hmm,
is unsafe for your kid to go there for whatever reason, like a
mm-hmm.
for real safety issue. We're not talking about that, but we're talking about withholding that man from your child's life
Correct.
on
But
some he hurt me type deal. that that is what I'm kind of getting towards. But so understand that as a man, his discipline is going to look different,
correct,
his mindset is going to look different,
correct.
his but we have to be able to appreciate it. And something else you said, it was like, we want y'all to show up with all those qualities with us, leader, in
Correct.
control, know what he wants. We want all of that with us. But when it comes to our babies, then we want to switch up the game. Let me read what
Correct.
Brian said. Men don't have the extra process of going through emotions before decision making, because we bypass the emotions to go straight to the logical solution, to not lose time on fixing the problem. It's how we're wired. We have to give them their time to, I guess with women, we have to give them their time to process because they don't want to be excluded. Women have to understand that we must get to the problem for the sake of the child until we can finish processing.
Correct. The I agree with that because what happens is when you Ramon does it as well. I know he does. When you're talking to your husband, right? When you're talking to your husband about a problem, I'm pretty sure he has a solution before you even finish,
Mm,
right? But one thing that dawned on me was, I said earlier that we have, as men, we have to sit back and listen as well. My goddad told me this one thing. He said, "Son, when your mom when mom comes to me with a problem, I ask her a simple question. I said, what's that? Do you want me to solve it or do you want me to listen?"
Okay, say that again. Say that again.
He asked my godmom, anytime she comes to him with a problem, okay, do you want me to solve it or do you want me to listen?
Y'all type that in the chat. Solve or listen, so I can make sure y'all got it. Do you want me to solve it or do you want me to listen?
And so that's part of the patience process, because as men we're naturally wired to bring a solution no
Mm-hmm.
matter what it is. You know what I'm saying?
And not all
And
the
so,
time are we looking for it. Yeah.
correct. And so we can get caught up in that, and you can literally tell us, "Oh, before we will never ask you that question," but then you'll be like, "Boom, boom, boom." You'll be talking, and then at the end of the conversation, we'll give you an answer. You're like, I wasn't looking for that." You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
But but yeah, he is right. We are hardwired to to bypass our emotions, because as a man, oh, I was taught this a while back too. Um, running a family is like a business, right? Um, and so how to if you can learn how to talk to your lady, if you can learn her love language, if you can learn patience with your woman, there's nothing in this world that you can't be.
Mm.
Um, uh,
Learn patience with her. Okay, keep going.
so, and so, like for me, I'm just like I said, I've been going on a journey, but I want to say this before we run out of time. Going back to the kid situation, and having both parents around. Back into my dad's situation. After I spoke to my dad, I said, "Dad, it's all good. Whatever your reasons were for not being there, were your reasons for not being there." Because in my mind, I had already said it in my mind. It was probably best that he wasn't around anyway. And his exact words were, "Son, it was probably better that I wasn't around because of everything that I was going through,
Mm-hmm.
and all the trouble that I was getting into." And what was happening is that back in about 2009 to about 2012, I was going to Prairie View A&M University, and I would ride through Houston. I'm like, man, Houston feel like something in my spirit said Houston feels like home. Like I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
And when I found out my dad was from Houston, boom, I said, oh, that makes a
Mm.
lot of sense. And then
Mm-hmm.
I've always been the aspect of I'm gonna learn how to do it so I can do it myself. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go and learn how to fix something on this car. So if it happened again, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and get it done myself. I'm going to get my hands dirty or whatever. And so in high school, in college, I had a Honda Civic, and my neighbor down the street would I was like, "Hey, bro, can you do this for me?" He said, "No, I'm not going to do it for you. I'm going to show you how to do it." What's crazy
Absolutely.
is he was a mechanic, and I learned how to work on cars a little bit, and I've always like, okay, do it myself. And when I met my dad, what's crazy is if you have the other parent around, you would understand your child a whole lot better, because when I found out who my dad was and who he was and how he operated as a person, that explained a lot about myself,
Mm.
right? Sometimes habits are not learned. Sometimes habits are instilled, right?
Mm.
And sometimes those traits that you have, you're already born with. You know how sometimes you can look at your child like, mm, you remind, or your or
Oh
your
my
or your
God.
or your mother or your grandmother would say, "Oh, you remind me of so and so from back in the day. Your great grandma, your great great grandma, your great 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 granddaddy. Oh, you oh." So having the other parent around allows that child to dive deeper into who they are, to understand. Because if you have two worlds, if the sun never sets and the moon never if the sun never sets and the moon never rises, you only have one state that you can operate out of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You only have one environment that you can operate out of.
Mm-hmm.
If the sun is always out, the planet is going to always be dry, thirsty, angry, and asking why am I so burned? Why am I so tired? Why am I so emotionless? But if the moon never sets and there's no sun that exists, why am I so cold? Why am I so dark? Why am I so alone? But one thing that the sun and the moon has in common is the fact that both of them shine light. You see, both of them shine light, and they still cast a shadow, regardless of the situation.
And
And
I'm over here. I can't compose myself. This is what I hate when my show is only an hour. Oh my goodness gracious. And the thing about it is this is what I discovered, because I've been looking at the sun and the moon also from, which is what we're talking about, the man being the sun, the woman being the moon. The moon gets the light from the sun.
absolutely,
She gets
and
her light from the sun. And but what you just said, in that once you met your father, it helped you understand yourself better. Parents, understand this. When one parent is missing or one parent is not showing up accordingly, the child is the one who suffers, because
correct.
they don't know who they are. They're missing a part of them. That's why the parent child relationship is so powerful. And God saw fit that both was needed for him to enter into this world. He needed two. And so that relationship is so powerful and so needed. So before this show is over, if anybody is withholding a child from the other parent, you're damaging your child more than you're damaging the other parent. And even
Correct.
for those, my kid is better off without them. Just because they're inconsistent, I'm going to tell you now, because I talk to kids, they would rather have inconsistency than zero.
Correct.
I'm going to say it again. They would rather, because they don't know nothing about inconsistencies as a kid. That's coming from parents instilling that stuff. Well, now they don't come when they say they coming. If you just let that parent show up and you still be loving and you still speak nothing but goodness about that parent, not saying that you realize the errors in the parent, but that's not for you to pour into your child, definitely when the child doesn't know them, because it's still a connection there. So every negativity or negative thing you're saying about the other parent, you're saying to your child, and it's seeping into their being, and they're making that their reality. So even if they're inconsistent, let them be present. And I'm going to say this, something you said earlier, you having that conversation with your dad and him not being there. A conversation, I think we said this earlier too, can break chains. And I'm
Absolutely.
even talking about for the dads that are present. So
Absolutely.
the reality is even our parents hurt us when they're in the house, and some of us are holding on to things that happened or you didn't understand.
Correct.
Have a conversation with your father. If that's something that still is within you and it bothers you, definitely, men, go and have a conversation with your dad and try to understand where he was at that time in his life, which caused him to, whether it was the way he treated your mother, the way he treated you growing up. Have a conversation.
And this is what actually helped me heal the process as well. My After I actually talked to my dad, I actually talked to his mother, which is my grandmother, and
You
she
was getting
said,
it in.
"I was Jesus." She was like, "Son," she was like, "Grandson." This is gonna shine some light on some things too, son. Oh, grandson. There were some things not only that your father did, but your mother did too. Listen, just because you're around doesn't mean that you don't cause damage, and just because you're around doesn't mean that you're consistent. Um, uh,
Yeah.
just be, just because you are the present parent doesn't mean that you're consistent on everything that you say. What about those times you tell your baby, "Oh, we're gonna go do something," and you end up not doing it? Right? That's still a form of inconsistency. I'm gonna tell all you adults, man or woman or whatever you identify as. I strongly believe there's only man and woman. But the let's be honest. You can hold on to the anger, the pain, the sadness, the trauma, everything in regards to your parents your father not being around or your mother not being around. But guess what? Nobody cares at this point. You've grown now, right? You have to find a way to take self accountability in order to be able to um in order to be able to fall into the best you. All right. And the reality of it is you have one of the hardest things, Candice, that I ever had to do was have that conversation with my mother.
Mm,
Because I didn't trust women for a long time because of my mother. I love my mama dearly,
yeah.
right? Um, but there were some things that were supposed to happen that didn't happen because and this is what we have to understand as adults, right? Just like now, there are things that you want your child to experience, but you had to delay because there were some things that you had to handle in order to make sure everything was good. You have to remember and know and understand that because you are an adult now,
Hmm.
you should also see the point that when you were a child, your parents went through the same thing. So that just shows you that no matter what time in which you were born or whatever time God gave you, just because you were not there to go through their experiences does not mean that you have the right to hold on to a situation that you do not understand and will
Woo.
never understand. So, like right now, my mother, I love my mother. My mother isn't one of those emotional, baby, I love you. Come give me a kiss. Come give me a hug. I'll tell my mama right now, I love you. What you want,
Mm,
right? I'll give
mm,
my mama a hug, and she kind of cringes up a little bit, right?
mm,
And it's not because she doesn't love me. It's just because of everything that she went through as a child and growing
mhm,
up that I
mhm.
will never understand. So parents, even if you're not a parent, go and have that conversation with the people that you say that you love to go ahead and let it go because you continue to hold on to it. It's not going to affect anybody but you. And that's it. And when it comes down to your child, me personally, I feel like kids are over opinionated nowadays. You know
Mhm.
what I'm
Well,
saying?
hold on, Richard. I want
Um,
to add something to that piece that you just said. Having that
go ahead.
conversation, I want to say this that it impacts you first, but when we are unhealed and we have areas within us that needs healing, it does impact other people. Definitely our kids.
Oh, absolutely.
When we have kids and we operate from an unhealed place, that it just shows you, like the example you gave with your mom, the things that she went through. Not to say that she loves you, you her child, she loves you, period. But that emotional side of, because she didn't heal it, she doesn't know how to be that with you. So
Yeah.
in turn, I don't know what y'all relationship was like growing up, but you said you had to get over certain things because you didn't trust women. But two, I know this as well, because as kids, we're so pure in nature. What you were trying to do for her, and still is, with the hugs, with the kisses, that emotional side, kids are supporting us in healing,
Yeah.
supporting us in healing our things. But so many parents that are uncomfortable with that, the emotions, what happens when a kid run up to them as a little kid and they want to hug and kiss. Get away, move. And so the kid is like totally confused. Like, I'm trying to give love to my mama. They don't want it. And as kids, you operate off of emotions and energy. So you're now teaching your child what love really is not, when you push them away when they're trying to give it to you. I believe God sends our kids to heal up, to love on our inner kids.
But you know what? Not only that though, your kids help you face what you've never faced before, because I can tell you this, only
They
reason
make
why
you better,
or they can make you worse depending on how you want to look at the situation. But you know what? The thing is,
that's
the
your
fact
mindset.
exactly. But you know what's crazy is I could have had that conversation with my mother a long time ago. But this is the only time I've actually prioritized myself over my mother in a long time. I was like, my boy was like, Richie, you need to have that conversation with your mom. And I was like, I never want to be the reason why my mother cries. But what people fail to realize is within healing, unfortunately, you have to go hurt someone else in order to heal yourself. You have to do you in the wake of healing, there has to come destruction. Because if you look at when a volcano erupts, right after a volcano erupts, and if it nurtures the surrounding area right, it's gonna come back greener than ever before, right? And so what happened is in that moment when me and my mother had that conversation and she was crying, she was hurt because she felt as though I should have been able to talk to her about these things. But I didn't know how, because I didn't feel important.
Yeah.
So I know the show's about to come to an end, but I really have to say this. In the midst of healing, there has to be destruction, because things are only going to get better only when they get worse. And in the healing process, you value the healed you a whole lot more than you value the damaged you.
Woo!
And the thing is the fact that when it comes down to healing, there are going to be scars regardless. But those scars are only a reminder of how strong you really are, of how valuable you really are, and how great you have become, and the greatness that you were born with. And your journey is a journey, but how you handle it is what turns your greatness into legendary. So remember, my life motto every single day is greatness born, legendary bound. So whatever you have to do to heal yourself, go do that, because the right people are going to stay and the wrong people are going to go. But nonetheless, you will be a better version of yourself because of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Y'all see when he closed his eyes, it's like, oh Lord, here we go. I don't know if y'all peeped that, but when he closed his eyes, I said, oh yeah, right now he operating with spirit. Right now. Yeah. Oh my God, that was good. And y'all, we really just prayed over this show, and how I thought it was, how I envisioned it based on the title. I know this was so much more richer than the place in which I thought we were going to go when I made that title. So thank you. Thank you for your truth. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for being vulnerable on the show. And the prayer is that whoever needed it received whatever it is that they needed to receive in order for them to show up better. And that's the whole purpose of the Couples Lounge show, that something is said that makes our supporters show up differently, have a different mindset. And I love that. I'm going to do a recap, I guess, so to say, with my somebody should have told me moment, something that you just said. When it comes to healing, you got to understand that somebody is going to be hurt. That somebody is possibly you as well. Because when you start revealing certain stuff, it's like, ooh, like I'm like that. Ooh. But even with that other person, you feel like you're hurting them. But as you heal, they get to heal. Because if they get triggered or they have any type of emotion, then if they are intentional, then now they get to look at themselves. And they get to get better and heal up. And that's just how the universe works. If everybody in this world is about healing and looking at the triggers in those moments, we all just keep getting better. And I know from that conversation with your mother, not only did you heal, although she may cry, she cried, something shifted in her as well.
Absolutely.
Something shifted within her. And so I just say thank you. I pray and I ask that each and every one of you all, definitely the fathers, that you see how important you are, women, that you see how important he is. And this was something else I was going to say, as some Richard said. Even if you're no longer a couple, once you have brought that beautiful soul into this world, you all are connected. And if you marry somebody that has outside kids, that kid is absolutely now your responsibility. So if you're going into marriages with, that's your child. I ain't got nothing to do with that baby mama. I don't have nothing to do with that child. You out of bounds.
Absolutely.
And so you need to really reconsider, do you want to go into a marriage with somebody who has outside kids? Because yes, you are responsible for that
Correct.
child. The upbringing, the foundation, pouring in love into that kid. So you will always be co-parenting. You will always be the sun and the moon together, even if you're not together. Or else there's destruction on the earth, and the earth are the babies.
Absolutely. And I'll say this too, as men and women, especially our Black men and the women, what we have to do is be vulnerable to ourselves. Grab that. I need you to grab it and hold on to it and live through that, because once you can become vulnerable to yourself, you can be a more understanding and be more patient and be more willing to operate out of compassion, love, truth, and be a better version of yourself for your kids. You don't only Inky Johnson once said, I have to leave this place better than I found it. In the world that you live in, you found it, but once you leave it, you have to leave it better than what you found it, because you have a legacy and children coming up behind you that's going to remember you and everything that you've taught them. And in order for you to teach and pour into them, you have to be willing to be vulnerable to yourself and pour into yourself in order for you to pour into them. So happy Father's Day to all my amazing fathers out there, and whatever man is going through something, I'm telling you, listen to me. Be vulnerable to yourself so you can move differently. Renew your mind so you can make room for the new you. You understand? So I love you, Candace. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Y'all need to go follow him. Richard Ray Uncensored. Richard Ray Uncensored. And y'all, Richard, he just entered his 30s. So you imagine what this king is about to do, what he's already doing in this world to have the mindset that he has at 31. What? Y'all go follow Richard Ray Uncensored.
Absolutely. On YouTube.
He has a podcast, and tune in.
So
tell your men, too. Tell the men to tune in.
Absolutely.
We need y'all living as kings in your kingdomness.
And hey, you know what, kings? Candace, you keep having me go. Girl.
I know we got to go, Richard. I know. I keep saying that. I'm like, I can't comment on nothing else he said. We're gonna be here to 12 o'clock.
You know what makes a region great is the kings the kings that can come together in a collective and bring their kingdoms together when it is time to be victorious. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So y'all can go follow me on YouTube, Richard Ray Uncensored. Go check out Facebook, any of your major podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen. And I have a segment on there called A Letter From. This would be a great opportunity for my men and women to write a letter from, and I'll explain that more later on my next show. But other than that, Candace, I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I needed this because everything I say, it impacts me as well. And your show is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. And y'all, Brother Tuck ain't here. We'll explain why he wasn't here today. He actually had another event to go through to Brothers Brunch. So y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. Richard, you must go back and read. Everybody was just like, oh, this is good. This man is speaking. I receive it. Help us, Lord. That's it. Yes, indeed. We got a my. You know, when church folks say my. Like, yeah. So you go back and look at the comments. But thank you. I've enjoyed you. Again, happy Father's Day to you and to all the amazing dads around the world. I'm out.
Absolutely.